Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi from ServiceNow. This is March 1st, 2019, Friday, TGIF. The community live stream is the web series that helps you be a more effective ServiceNow administrator and developer by giving you not only the answers in the community, but the insight, the journey of discovery, the learning path we go through to get to those, the exploration, everything that goes on behind the scenes that, at least in my mind, to get to those answers is how we get those. And I am willing to share that with you for an hour a day when I am home, when I am healthy, when I am able to get my butt out of bed at 4:30 in the morning. That's when I bring this to you. So let's get started. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you very much. I encourage you to subscribe. If you're watching on the community, please go to YouTube, subscribe. And if you find something in the next hour that's helpful, entertaining, mildly amusing, please go and check that out. And click the like button. Sorry, got a little distracted by an alert on the screen. Click the like button so that other people know there's information. I do post this back to the community moments after the show is concluded. So if you're watching it there, thank you again. And please check that helpful button so that, again, other people know that there's something in there that is useful to you. If you do subscribe, be sure to turn on those notifications so that you get your notifications. And I will check the mobile device and it says, yes, the broadcast has started and we are there. So that's what you would get if you got that. I had a moments before the show started, that screenshot was this snowy picture in Yosemite National Park. Now it's a natural bridge. Don't know where that is. Very beautiful pictures that come from Reddit, and they change randomly on my phone. Wonderful thing. Good morning, Abdul. Good morning, John. Good morning, Paulo. And Mahendra is checking in. Hey, everybody. I don't know if it's morning where you are, but I appreciate the sentiment that it is morning here. It's still a little dark. Days are getting longer. So soon I will be doing this show in the daylight once again. Good day, Alan Hole. Thank you for the show. It's great. I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words. It's stuff like that keeps me motivated. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. It's bringing you this information, and I never know what I'm going to get. We also do this on Twitch. It is, of course, on YouTube forever and ever and ever, with links to the GitHub repo that I'll talk about in just a minute. But also available on Twitch. I know that some of you watch over there. Thank you very much for that. Keeps the channel going. And who knows, maybe you spread the word and other Twitch people will take a diversion from playing games to learn how to be a ServiceNow developer. Who knows? We can always take a chance on that. If you've got questions, please don't put them in the chat because I'm likely not to answer them, because then only a handful of people would be able to receive those. It's more effective to put them into the community, where you can get over at community.servicenow.com, I should say, where you will get massive amounts of subject matter experts that can help you out with that. As long as you put it in the right forum. Asking questions about reporting and performance analytics, put that in the reporting and performance analytics question. Putting in the developer section may not be the best place for that. So I encourage you to do that. Provide context. What is the stuff you are trying to do? What is the stuff you have tried? What are the issues you're running into? That helps greatly. Screenshots are always appreciated where there are screenshots available. I just had a request moments before the show. Somebody said, hey, can you provide screenshots? So I can help. I said, I'll do better than that. I'll include it in today's video. How's that? So we have a topic that I'm going to dig in a little later in the show that came up just moments before. You can tell how much prep work I do on this. It's never rehearsed. It is all random, and I am inspired everywhere to share things in this video format. So thank you very much. Put that in the community, and we will help. I love that morning herbal tea. Oh, it's going to be a good Friday, I can tell. At least I think it is. If you start with a positive attitude, that's where we go. All right. Also want to remind you to go over to developer.servicenow.com, which looks a lot like this, where you can get a free personal developer instance, fully fleshed out. You can turn on plugins that would normally cost money. If you don't use the instance for a few hours, it goes to sleep. If you don't use the instance for several days, it gets reclaimed. So this is part of that free agreement that you enter into when you sign up for a free personal developer instance. You get to use it, try it, build it, break it, wipe it out, start over, whatever you want. It's all there at developer.servicenow.com, along with you can get Madrid, which still isn't in general availability for the masses of public. I encourage you to try that out, explore what's in Madrid. We did a webinar on Tuesday. There's going to be more Madrid information coming out on the 6th. I'm going to point you to a couple of things that I discovered this morning that can be quite helpful. But scripting APIs are on developer.servicenow.com. Blog articles about Madrid platform features. Lots of great information. I encourage you to go over there and explore. Whether you are an experienced ServiceNow administrator, developer, new to the platform, this is the place where you want to go to get involved with the developer community. Very analogous to developer.amazon.com, developer.google.com. You get the idea. We've got a developer place for people to meet and greet. Speaking of meet and greets, we also have meetups available under the events menu right there at the top. Lots of things coming up. Oslo, Melbourne, Stockholm, Copenhagen, Lexington, Denver. Wherever you are, check this out and see if there's a developer meetup near you. If there isn't one, your next move is probably over at meetup.com/pro/ServiceNow dev program to see if there is a meetup in your area. If not, reach out to us. We can help you get one started so you can organize it, we can support it, and together we can make the world a better place. Sound like a good plan? I thought so. Knowledge is coming up. And what I noticed on the sidebar of the community is there is a knowledge badge, and I'll show you another little trick right below that. But May 5th through 9th in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been corrected on that recently, and I'm still not sure I'm saying it right. Las Vegas, Nevada, that's how I'm told the people there say it, at least in the last report that I heard earlier this week. May 5th through 9th at the Venetian Palazzo. Same place as last year. If you were there, you'll know your way around. The convention hall, the Sands Convention Hall is right behind it, attached to it. If you're in the neighborhood, easy commute, easy walk. But be prepared. Things are a little further than they seem in Las Vegas. You may go, oh, I look out my window and there's the MGM Grand right there. It's a bit of a way from the Venetian Palazzo to the MGM Grand. So plan accordingly. Make sure you plan. There's always multiple conventions and lots of tourists in town. Bring your business card so you can build your network. Lots of hands-on labs, lots of ServiceNow announcements, lots of great networking opportunities. I mentioned good food, good parties, good times. You will make new friends. You will make new relationships that will help you in your career. Bring your coworkers. They may be looking at something about SecOps, and you may be looking at something about IoT. Together, great combination. Rick calls it lost wages. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. You go there. I think I've only gambled on a slot machine for about 10 minutes. That's the only gambling I've ever done in Las Vegas. Although my wife may have spent more time and more money there. That's her prerogative. We're doing all right. That's pretty much it for knowledge. You hear about that every day. The other thing is we've got another Tech Now coming up, March 19th on the mobile studio and mobile application. Showed you a little bit about that on this episode or this show earlier this week. And join us for that. Sign up at the bit.ly link you see there at the bottom. It is free. It is live Q&A while you're attending, and then afterwards we will be posting that again back to the community. Very, very popular topic about the new Madrid Studio, Madrid experience. No code operations in this. There are opportunities for scripting, but you don't have to write script. It's a lot like starting to build an application on the platform. We've carried that over. So this is the instantiation, the materialization, the realization, that's probably the word I'm looking for, of the acquisition of SkyGiraffe. Whenever we make an acquisition, we bring it into the platform, whether that became Performance Analytics or Madrid Mobile Studio. This is how that is going to work henceforth. Let's continue on with, let's see if I can get this right today. There we go. Any code or script written today will be placed in a dated folder in the GitHub repo that you see there. Links will be provided in the YouTube description at the bottom of the page, in YouTube, or in the community. The GitHub repo will point right to today's folder. So my app is smart enough to go, hey, you know what? There's a GitHub repo. Why don't we just put the link right to it rather than having them double click through the top folder, scroll, because we've been doing this for several months. I think July of 2018 is when we started collecting code in GitHub. And that was still about 9 months after I'd started making the video. So apologies for the late start. Somebody suggested it, so we did it. And now we have a slide in a repo and everybody's happy, right? Good afternoon from Goran. Good to see you online, Goran. Hope the book sales are going well. Goran's got a new book out on ServiceNow, so I encourage you to take a look at that. Other thing I encourage you to take a look at is on the community. I was scrolling down here, and just past the leaderboard is, of course, the link to knowledge over here. There's a little badge. You can see that. And below that, I noticed, hey, look, there is a content catalog. So I opened up the content catalog in this tab over here and said, look, we've got our 3 basic workflows, IT, employee, and customer, along with custom apps, build your own workflows. And the content catalog is listed, so you can take a look. I did a quick verification if you want to. I don't expect everybody to know the session IDs yet, but if you want to search it by session ID, I know that my Amazon IoT one that I was showing off a little bit yesterday is CCW 1655. Do that, and there it is. Integrate an Amazon IoT dash button with ServiceNow brings up this stuff. That's the old picture. I uploaded a new one. I just found something I need to get in touch with them about. Why are we not pulling the old pictures? I mean, why are we pulling the old pictures? Shame on them. I want to keep up with the company branding. Green. Okay, note to self. I'm putting this on today's notes down here. Note that the K19 catalog is showing old profile picture. That's not what I uploaded. I know it's not, because they asked us to update our speaker profiles like a month ago. There's no way I would have uploaded the old picture. Someone's pulling that from the wrong place. I don't even know. I found that in Workday yesterday, and that's one of the last vestiges since I took that picture last August. I went around and changed everything I could. Got to keep up with the times, evolve or die. Already counting down the days. Yeah, Goran is joining ServiceNow. I forgot to mention that in early April. So 30 days, 16 hours, 47 minutes, 30 seconds. But who's counting? That's a bit like my knowledge counter. Let's see if I can find that real fast for you. How many days till knowledge? It is 64 days, 17 hours, 46 minutes, and some odd seconds. But who's counting, right? So there's your knowledge counter. I think it's time those are my quick tips. Take a look around the community page. There's lots of other great information. I just noticed the content catalog that is there, so I encourage you to browse around that and see what you can find. There may be something interesting that you didn't know about. I know some of the stuff is being tweaked here and there. Some of the speakers are asking to have their abstracts tweaked, so you may be able to search on something that you hadn't been able to search on before. I'm going to do a real quick refresh of the main page. And you know what? I've got a continued discussion in here in the inbox. I don't want to stare at that all day. That little red badge will drive me nuts. So Ram Kumar says, he marked it helpful. What fields does the global search actually search? And pointed out this morning that, hey, this was a 2-year-old discussion, and the link for administer global text search, even though it is a link to the docs page, some of the links on the docs page changed. And I apologize for that. I don't know when that happened or why that happened, but it could be extremely frustrating if you have legacy links that are broken. He pointed out this is a broken link, so I went and found and updated the new link to the search administration page. All I was really looking for is global text search and came up with this, which starts you off at, it's sort of the launching point. If you didn't know this and you do a search on the doc site, global text search, if you can spell it right. Come on, fingers, work for me this morning. Started out with something like global search properties. Down here on the left is a hierarchical search. So even though my search turned this up way down here, I sort of went up and said, all right, is the next level up global text search find record from multiple tables? Nah. Available search options? No. How high do I need to get in this? Search administration sounded like a good place. Clicked that and got this page. So the docs page can be very informative. Don't just look at what the search results on the main panel are. Look what they are on the left side and scroll up a little bit. See if a higher level search might actually get you a better launch point for your search results. I like that. Wish Google had something like that. Alrighty. Read that one, so the inbox is now empty, but I'll keep that tab open just in case something happens. Let's go down and start an unreplied answer here. Trigger condition in surveys. Surveys are not my forte. I really do need to get some skill up on that. Hello, Samir Pathan. Good to see you this morning. Jaroslaw, checking in. Steve, good morning to you. Calculating double SLA of CTask from Performance Analytics and Reporting. Not my thing, but it has a calculation in here. Let's see what they're digging into, what they're after. I need to find double SLA of CTask. Double SLA is measured by using the fields delivery time, stop time, start time. If stop time minus start time greater than 2 times the delivery time, then the SLA is breached. Why wouldn't you calculate this straight up? Why the double thing? How can I achieve this as a PA indicator by using scripts and any conditions? You definitely need a script to do a multiplier in there. Probably a formula indicator is what you need, and that's about all I know of that. How to translate the record producer name to French in Service Portal. Did I not already? This is a different question. I've translated the instance with the link tag log a new incident to French in sys-translated text table to French in Service UI Portal homepage. But when I open the record producer, it shows English at the top. Log a new incident. Oh, interesting. The label of this, where is that? Can anyone know how to translate this to French? Let's take a look, because this is similar to the other question that I had. Let's take a look. If I go into the record producers, I like record producers, very simple form of a way to get that in there. So I am in global. Let's do, you know what? It doesn't matter. Just pick one. And the name of the request. What type of field is that? Wait for it. Finish loading, finish loading. Show name. It is of type translated text. Same thing. So under the translated text shows up where? I can't remember which table it is. Is that SysUI message? Or is it sys-translated text? Translated text. Somewhere in here there it shows, it tells you the 4 tables. SysUI message, syschoice list. A syschoice is one of them. Sys-translated, I think is the other one. Let's go back to I did search, did I not? I did not. Translated text, sys-translated text. Okay. So the answer is, wow, how did I get that right justification? I clicked something crazy there. The name field in SC cat item, or excuse me, yeah, it is SC cat item, but I'm just going to put the name field in the record producer is a translated text field. That means sys-translated text. Let's take a look at the table. So sys-translated text.list has the document, the field name, the language, a table name, and the value. So you could put in new languages right there. Get the right record here. Can contain an entry for the name of your record producer. Same concept as before. There is a whole lot of content just waiting to be released that I know I need to do on Tech Now at some point about making your doing translations and internationalization, localization, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to cover a couple things for you today. That's in the plan. Let's see how it goes. How's that? First one down. Let's refresh. Refresh, refresh, scroll, 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 unreplied. Text indexing for search functionality. Take a look at that. There was a time when I would open up 5 or 6 of these pages, but the community moves so fast that by the time I get to tab number 3, it's already been answered. Hello, I want to know what columns to text index. Pretty weird sentence. I also have the need for another research in Zing engine, which is not possible right now. Technical term searcher. Here's a screenshot. You know what? I happen to have exactly what you needed a minute ago. Text search. Global text search suggestions. Back to that same link that I just had at the top. Search administration. Right click, copy HTML. That was... I suggest starting with this page to get familiar with configuring and understanding the text search. There we are. Read the fabulous docs page. I have a friend who just has the RTFM shirt. I'm sure you probably have friends that have that as well. I used to say RTFW, read the fabulous wiki. RIP wiki. Blank attachments from Jira 13 minutes ago. You know what? I am going to take a slight diversion. Let's do a quick refresh. See what else we have. Unscripted. Don't know what I'm going to get. Sometimes I get too much. Sometimes I get not enough. Let's go down and read some of these that I saw that went past here. ServiceNow integration. There's some threads that I may have some input on. Hey, anybody integrate Dropbox with ServiceNow? Please share steps and linked value. It would be straightforward. You need to have an endpoint and authentication detail sample request. That's pretty vague, pretty high level. I have used all the right URLs provided by Dropbox on their developer page. I'm trying to achieve simple interface on my demo instance. However, the REST message, when I click get OAuth token, I'm getting the error, getting an unauthorized error. I'm new to web service and struggle. What am I missing and why not the interface? I am going to take a look at the developer blog. And in here, there is a search for OAuth. OAuth is a tricky beast. And they just recently did 5-minute feral Josh, creating your first action, connections, credentials, aliases, and OAuth. This is the article that we were referencing on Live Coding Happy Hour last week. Yes, last week. And I am going to dig into this heavily. But I did give it a look. Very useful. I recommend it if you're not familiar with connections, credential aliases, and OAuth, especially if you're doing Flow Designer, like an integration hub spoke. Look into this. It's a great step-by-step on how all of that works and some of the tricky threads you have to weave. There is a Live Coding Happy Hour. This is part of the developer community. Andrew and Dave do this on a regular basis. I will be joining again today and re-architecting an app that I'm writing for Knowledge. I had built it out and realized later in the game, pun intended, because it's my Jeopardy game, that I need to re-architect some of it, but yet preserve the data. And this will happen to you sometimes. You build out a data model and realize, oh, I don't need a reference field. I need a list field. I don't need a list field. I need a related list. How do you keep track of all of that stuff and still make it make sense? Let's see what our answers have come up with so far. 401 means authentication error. Can you check the username and password and the client ID? I offer this article from the developer blog as a good tutorial and reference for doing connections, connection aliases, and OAuth. Okay, this article from the developer blog. Highlight, paste, open in a new tab so you don't mess people up. I'm surprised how many links do not have the new window target. Where was I reading? I was reading one of our internal policies on our training instance. So that you go and take a class. I think some of you have done this through Saba, our online learning center, learning portal. Brings up the window, starts playing a video, whatever. This was to review a travel policy. And in the travel policy, they had a link. You click the link, and it took you away from the thing you were supposed to be reading and brought up the knowledge base article. Actually brought up a sign-in to get to our internal server, our internal instance. And now I don't have my training material, and I can't go back. So I have to shut down that little daughter window and bring up the training again. It's like, well, it was just messed up. It's like, do a target _blank. That was just annoying as all get out. When you're creating links, and I know most of you are developers, please consider the link to a new window. Very easy to do. Whether you're in Service Portal, a UI page, a knowledge base article, let the person stay on their main content while being able to reference the secondary content. Can you tell it bothered me? McSal, good morning, Mark. ServiceNow search hero we need but don't deserve. Now, I don't know. You don't need me. Most people's search skills are much better than mine. I am constantly amazed at how many times I can look through the community, look through the docs, do a little experimentation, and by the time I get through just a minimum of research, somebody's already posted a link to a knowledge base, a community article that answers that. How did I not find that? I guess my first instinct is not to search the community, as it should be yours, because I'm doing mostly answering. If you're asking, please search first. But I don't think about that when answering. I usually go off the top of my head. I search the community when I'm building my apps and go, I swear somebody has talked about this before. I have to see it, hear it, and recognize it. And contrary to popular belief, I don't have the entire community memorized like maybe Pradeep does. He is the king of putting in cross-community references. How to translate a record producer French service part. We already did that. So this is all new at the top. I am going to shift gears a little bit. Where's my... what did I have last time? Was it this one? We'll go with that. So I was talking about translating and making things available. There was an article that came up in the community that I was working on this morning. Can't find it, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Translating the service catalog variables. Was it? It wasn't that one. Maybe it was this one. Yes, it was. It was the same one. Same person, different article. Said, all right, here's the issue I've got. I know this is a little hard to read, but they were asking about translating the description on the catalog entry. Apparently, Snow at DOS, I think that's what is working on a record producer and needs to make it French. So the discussion we had a couple of days ago was, how do I get the description into French? I said, you change your language to French in the instance, then go add the description in there, and it will get into sys-translated. Same exact process for doing the name that we just discovered. Well, I said, now I've got a service portal widget that isn't behaving quite right. And I'm going to take one of my service portal widgets to show how you would do that translation, because there's a lot of hard-coded things in my instance that may not work well. So if I go into, let's go back to my Jeopardy game. We're going to make this a bit international. I'm going to get started on this. And I don't even recall if I have a secondary language installed on here. Doesn't appear that I do. This may not be my best instance for doing language. Let me go to a different language. And I have an older version of the Jeopardy app on this instance. So here's my TechNow dev instance. where we keep track of all the webinars. And fortunately, the instance is on the Jeopardy scope. But I want to make sure that I've got I thought I installed Spanish. Yes, I did. Okay, so I have English and Spanish on this one. Helps to have another language. I don't know enough Spanish, but we're going to see what we can get out of this with the help of Google Translate. Let's go to Studio. Let's also go to Service Portal Config, the widget editor. And I want to take one of my widgets. And let's see. I'm trying to think where I have any text that needs to be translated in this game. Let's take a look at the game. Maybe just poking around will help get familiar with it. Let's take game 1 again and open the board. Welcome to Jeopardy! You've seen this before if you were watching a couple of days ago. This is the game board. The categories, they're part of the record itself, the records that I'm pulling out. If I click, what's that feature? This text probably shouldn't be. If you're making a French game, I would expect, or a Spanish game. Yeah, there really isn't anything in here to be translated. This wasn't a really good example. So I'm going to create one from scratch. Not in this application, however. So let's get rid of Studio. Let's go back to let's create a new application real quick. All right, real quick, I'm going to do File, Create Application, Custom Application. I'll make a simple table. Call this table Chuck. So I have SNC Chuck. It's probably going to bark at me for that scope. I can't imagine. I haven't used this on this instance before. So you know what? I'm just going to call it CLS. And we'll call this item. We have a CLS item. I'm not very original. We can even auto number that as a CLS record. Create the table for me. Pray to the gods that this works. Hey, it looks like, oh, no, CLS cannot be created. The scope XNC has been registered in the app repo. Kind of figured that might happen. So let's call it CLS2. I'm going to delete it later anyway. Darn app repo. What I need to do is hook that up and make my own repo. Back to the list. Go to the CLS2 application. I'm going to quick make a data model in the CLS2. Let's get something like the table. Let's add a couple of fields. We'll put name. We'll make that the display value. Even though I auto-numbered it, I'm not sure why I put a number on there, just for fun. Let's put description. Make that a little longer field. 180 sounds good. Let's do we have some dates. We don't need dates. Email. Okay, that'll be a string field also. Update that. Now I'm going to make a service portal widget to go get some records. Well, first we need some records in that table. That would be nice. Let's show the list. I'm not even concerned about form layout or anything at this point. Create a new record. Name is Chuck Tomasi. Description, Senior TPML. We'll put in my title, chuck.tomasi@servicenow.com. All right, really don't need a whole lot of records, but we'll just do that for sanity's sake. Go over into Service Portal. So here's the thing. If that field is translatable, let's you know what? Let's add another field. So number in and of itself, I right-click on the label and say Show Number. Let me make that font a little bigger. You can see that. It is of type string. It means it will not be translated. There's no way this content will be translated. It is what it is. The name, let's do this. Let's take words that I can translate into Spanish. How about that? Name, pencil. Okay, description. You write with it. You write with it. There we go. Email. We'll use my email. Okay, how about that? Now, if I change the dictionary entry on this table from string to, wait for it, translated text, okay, not translated HTML, but translated text, it means that I can use the contents of that field to be translated. It will do a lookup for me. Let's also take the description field and translate that as well. Okay, I need just make it some basic data. Basic data to do some translation. Change that to a translated text as well. Update. Warning, warning, Will Robinson, standard disclaimer here. Don't change data dictionary types on the fly. You could lose data. If they are string types, you stand a pretty good chance of everything working. Don't change a string to a date or a date to a string. It's probably not going to work. Probably won't even let you. So what does that mean? What that means is if I go back to my application and I change my language, let's put the language picker up there. Do I have the language picker? Thought I had the ability to put the language picker up there, but that's all right. Spanish, done. The entire instance, as far as the translations go, is now going to be in translate. I don't want to translate the instance. So let's go to the Navegador de Filtros. We have my CLS2 application on my item table. It does not translate the content by itself. It didn't even translate the labels because I haven't put those in there. But what I can do is, according to what I read, is type in, I believe it's a masculine verb, if I remember. Fortunately, I remember where things are on the menu. I can save that, and theoretically, if I go back to Inglés, I now have a translated field. It has put the entry in there. It now says pencil. Make that a little bigger so you can see it. The name is pencil. If I switch over to, this is what he's asking for on the record producer. Okay, change the language, change the value. It will enter that into sys-translated. So sys-translated text.list. Thank goodness the documentation didn't let me down. And if I look at, do I have a date updated on here? I am going to put date updated at the top of the list so I can sort by that. And my new entry for CLS table pencil, this is a document ID, so it's referencing the specific record. It says pencil name in Spanish gets this value. Pencil description in Spanish gets this value. There's the translated information. It's one record, but it has the option of swapping in the values differently. If I had put some nonsensical word in Spanish, that would be the Spanish equivalent of that record. Now, let's take it over to Service Portal where they're asking. Go over to Service Portal configuration. Let's build out a quick widget. See what happens. Because there's a couple of things that I need to do. Let's create a new widget. And we'll call this one my CLS item. We'll make a test page for it. Easy enough. And away we go. So first thing I need to do, let's not worry about the client script or the CSS at this point. I'm passing information from the server script to the HTML. First thing I need to do is go get a record. Our item gr equals new, not plus, equals new glide record, x, s, and c, cls2 item. There's my item table. I'm going to simply get a record. So item gr.query. There's only one, so this should be a very easy thing. If item gr.next. Now in Service Portal, I've got this data object already built for me. And I can set this up to say data.item is an object. I like to abstract it down a level. I don't like to put everything at the top level. Call me a little weird on that. data.item.sysid equals item gr dot get unique value. Data.item.name equals item gr dot get value. This is where dot walking is not a good idea. Name. Okay, just get a few things, throw them into that data object. Data item dot. I should spell name correctly. Thank you. Data dot item dot. What did I call the other one? Description. Equals item gr dot get value. Description. And data.item.email equals item gr.getValue. Try that again on the right line. One of those, and then one of these. Okay. There we go. We have our item object set up. We could also put in here gs.add error message. Cannot get an item. Error. Cannot get an item. Sorry. That would be bad news. All right, so there's our server-side code. Go retrieve data, set up our data object. Now we can use this in our HTML widget using the, what do they call it, mustache notation, curly braces. There's a notation for this. Normally, we'd go like this. Name, data.item.name. And then maybe a BR tag, just to look nice. Then description is accessed through data.item. It's kind of cool because you pass this server stuff, it's accessible by the client script and it's accessible by the HTML. So you can make a very dynamic page with using this. Description, BR, and email, data.item.email. What do you say we test it out? Go into the options, enable preview, a little eyeball lights up, and we get a big old fat error, invalid table name. Did I type the table name wrong? CLS table. It's CLS2 table. Did I forget the CLS2 table? Somebody in the thing is probably in the chat is probably saying, no, Chuck, you did it wrong. Let's go back here. That's a funny name. I don't remember calling it that. Thought I labeled it item. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I have data, and now the question becomes, what happens when I switch my language to Spanish? Let's bring up a page with this widget on it. So that would look like instance name /sp $ID equals CLS2 item. It's the page ID, which contains the widget. And I get a 404. That would be bad. If you really can't find it, you go back to Service Portal and look under Pages. Look for your most recent accomplishment. Oh, CLS item. That's the ID. So put that page in there. There's my wonderful, woohoo, super duper page. The question becomes, what happens when I change my language to Espanol and go back here to my page? Does it know I changed my language? It did not. Okay, so how do you get those translated options? Moreover, how do you translate the labels? The label is done in the widget. You need to set up your own labels. So rather than email, I'm going to do one of them here. Let's close my preview window since I've got the other window open anyway, and it makes it easier to read this. The email label would look like data.item.email label, for example. You could put that in another object and have label and value if you want. I'm going to do it this way, is gs.getMessage email. Now I have a label. Replace this with data.item dot email under label. Save that. Get message is going to do a translation from the sys UI message table. Now, that's the brute force way. See if I have time to get all this. And, of course, we have correo electrónico. And that apparently means email in Spanish. I'm going to venture a guess that it does. It has translated the label. Fortunately, I already had I put the label in the wrong place, but that's okay. I changed name to email. You get the idea. I would change this back to name and put this as that so that the email label is on the email field. Right? Now I know that it is in fact translating for me. So get message goes to this table under, where'd it go? Oh, you know what? It's not called messages because I'm in Spanish. Let's go back to English. I hadn't hit that one before. Under System UI Messages, the table is sys_UI message. There is a table full of these wonderful translations, and these records are broken up into several fields, as most records are, that have a key, a language, and a message. Those are the critical parts. And where you employ those is up to you. Now, here's what I recommend you don't do. Because if you have something as simple as email, what getMessage does is says, do you, get back to my widget, do you have a key called email? If you don't, I'm going to use this. And putting a big long line of text into my message table that looks like is not the cutest thing. I don't believe you should do that. My theory is use a key that stands out, like CLS email key. Like, Chuck, but you don't have a key like that, because when you go to translated, whether it's English, Spanish, or anything else, it's going to come out with this ugly mess. What is CLS email key? What that tells me on the screen is, Chuck, you don't have a key for that language. That's a good indicator. Rather than having this come out in Spanish and then some come out in English because I don't have English keys, and maybe it doesn't matter, maybe it does, I like to see this ugly key that says, you really, really ought to create yourself a couple of keys. I'm going to copy this because I can't remember that. And say, first of all, I need one in English that has the key. Did I open that right? That's a new record. The key should say CLS email. What did I say? Label field? CLS email. I'm going to change that to label because I think it makes more sense. Save that and say, GS get message. When you go to this table, go look for CLS email label. And if you find it in English, put in the word email. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. If you find the same thing in Spanish, replace it with correo electrónico and insert that. Don't save or update. I've been bit by that too many times. I insert a new record. Now, if I look for my CLS email label, I have two similar records. Why are they different than the other one? Because this is my application, I'm doing the translation. And if somebody says, you know what, I don't want it to say correo electrónico, I want it to say email. Great, you change the key on your application for your translation. Look for others where it may need to change on the system and say, do you also want to change it on globally? But this separates you from the global pool of email label. And of course, now when I refresh that page, it will say email. That's my label for my thing using GS get message. So that's how GS get message works, and that's how SysTranslated works to get you those translations on there. So if you need to translate things, you put them in here as, hey, go try to get this label from the UI messages table. Expect that you'll have to write some translations. All of those records in SysUI message will get copied or get captured by the update set. They get captured by the scoped app. So they are part of your application. Everything works great from there. Then you change your widget to start using them like this. Here is my label. Here is the data. You could have label and value again. You can structure this any way you want. Pass them with the data object, and in you go. There's your custom widget with custom data and custom translated labels. Hope that was helpful. There is much, much more to talk about. Did we have any questions on any of that? Really like the dollar curly brace directly in the HTML template instead. The dollar curly brace directly. So you're saying, Goran is saying, could we try something like that? I know that works in UI pages. I haven't tried it in Service Portal. GS, I don't know if you can call this directly in Service Portal. I haven't tried it. CLS email label. Let me know if I'm getting the syntax crazy here. Save, or if I'm off base. Oh, you're saying not that, but let's try dollar name. Really? Didn't even know that was an Angular thing. So we're going to try this here and that there. Save it, refresh it. Hopefully I'm still in English. Hopefully I can still speak English by the end of this. Name says name. This says GS get message. I'm not able to actually execute that. CLS email label. Okay, so instead of GS get message, try CLS email label. Will that do a translation for us? Is it going to retrieve? Haven't tried that. Instead of GS get message, I'll be darned. Learn something new every day. That's pretty cool. There's a nice shortcut. So I don't need to set this up in the data object. I can use this notation. I assume that's a ServiceNow construct and not an Angular construct to get the labels. Very interesting. So I could do name as well here and then go back to my data fetching from data.item.name. Put that in there. Curious as to why it didn't pull out the translated value for name and put in lapis instead of pencil. Don't know. Writing text as dollar message is the equivalent of writing GS get message in the other parts of the system, but written as a more legible shorthand. I do like that. Another place you might want to think about that is in annotations. Let me go back to my CLS table, poorly named. I'm just going to go translating lesson today. Put in an annotation. So under configure form design, one of the noted difference between form design and form layout is the annotations. So if I want to put an annotation up here, I go to field types and put in an annotation. I'm going to drop that right at the top and say info blue box. Welcome to a useless annotation. And I could put in a gs.getMessage. This is what I would think would work. I'm just going to use my CLS email label as something interesting to put in here. Put that in, save that. Trying to remember the nuances as I go. Reload the form, and I have no annotation. Did it not put that on there? It said, hey, what happened? Do I even have it? Now, if I go into form layout, I see my annotation at the top. The blue box has text in here, and I can choose whether it is plain text or HTML. Now, the annotation text field is, in fact, HTML. Let's take the fancy stuff out first. Put it in this way. Oh, you know what? I have annotations turned off. Silly boy. Always check that when you're testing annotations. It's a little more fun. Back to my form layout, form designer, excuse me. Reload that because I did change something. I don't know if the properties window refreshes when it loads, but I'm going to reload anyway. And put in email gs.get get message, CLS, email, label. Ta-da. Put that into the $curly brace format, save that, and what happens? The world is about to find out. Reload the form, and I get the actual translation. The problem you have is that there is no choice on this one to say, hey, I want HTML in here, or maybe I don't. So when I try to do things like bold, I can't put in a bold tag. H1, I can't put in an H1 tag. Form Designer does not let you do that. However, form layout, at least it used to, unless something's changed. This is a London instance, just point that out. I have the HTML option, which lets me put in a bold tag, hello world, everybody's favorite message, turn off the bold tag, save that there, and now hello world is bold. Might be a little hard to see, blow that up, still a little hard to see, but it is bold, trust me on that. Be aware, if you go back to Form Designer and edit that, it will take the HTML out for you. Now, I had said, see, no HTML, and of course, if I am a proper citizen and save that, suddenly my bold tag goes away, and that's no good. Oops, I refreshed the whole page instead of refresh the form. Go back to my recent records, my pencil record, and it is no longer bold. Okay, you can verify that under Configure Form Layout. Form Designer doesn't like HTML. It doesn't let you do HTML. It strips it out. So be aware when you edit that. The better way to do that, of course, would be use that key. I'm going to overload this key. I should really get a different one. You know what? Fine. I'll get a different one. gs.getMessage. Let's take this one out and just hijack it. I don't need two keys for this example. Let's do CLS hello. Make sure I get my quotes lined up here. I will go make a key real quick in the messages table. Message new record. CLS hello. Actually, let me show you what happens if I don't do that. Of course, you would already recognize that I have a CLS hello. There is the tag. It's like, hey, Chuck, there's something that's not translated here. Okay? In fact, let me take the entire piece here and make that my key. Let's change that annotation just for simplicity's sake. All I have is not half text, half fetched from GSGetMessage. Let's take the entire thing. You say you're having problems with Form Designer, stripping out your stuff. Put the key there. Put the message over here. CLS hello. In English, it should say this. We can even make this, is it style, color, red? See if I can remember this. Style, I'm winging it here. You know what? Let's cheat. I'm just going to make it an H4. Put your HTML in there. It doesn't care. You can put whatever you want in there and make that the translated part. Now, instead of the key, you will get, bang, welcome to a useless annotation. The translating is done through GetMessage. Form Designer will not interfere with that. Let's reload that again, just because I don't trust it and I don't know. All I need is my GSGetMessage in the annotation. It's now language ready, language independent. I can go in and make a new key for French, Spanish, German, Portuguese, Japanese, whatever, and that message gets translated with the HTML that the way God intended. Okay. That's my lesson on translations, a little bit about Form Designer versus Form Layout. Note that Form Designer does not support HTML. It does support this GSGetMessage notation. Does it accept GSGetProperty there? as if, yes, we can code a test with HTML in a property to save HTML tags. You could. Let me try that. That is an interesting concept. Let's go to my messages table. Should have my latest message at the top. Oh, it doesn't. CLS hello. Let's find out. Let's put in, so you're saying instead of like H4, you could put in an HTML tag. We're going to find out. We want that in our annotation. The only property that I've got, where's my pencil record? Figure, form layout. I'm doing this just because I want to be different. Click that. And let's put right below that, or right next to it, gs.getProperty, instance name, everybody's favorite, well-known property. One of the few I have memorized. And instance name does not come out. It doesn't look like that happens. Let's check the logs. Something may have happened to disrupt the balance of the universe. Don't see anything that is an error recently. So it doesn't look like it does. Looks like GS get message is supported in there. So can you grab value of a record and put it in the annotation? For example, the short description. Could you do that? Could you do that? I've created links, but they're usually static. No, I have created that. I have to check. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I will check that offline and hopefully get you an answer back to that on Monday. Let me put that in the notes. Check about dynamic annotations, AG record info from current, right? Put that in the notes. There you go. Thank you for joining. It's been a wonderful educational. Everybody's learned something today, I hope. If you did, if you like something, click that like button, click the helpful button in the community. If you're watching this via the community, thank you very much. And have a great weekend. Until then, learn something, share something, be helpful, and I will talk to you Monday, I hope. See ya. Bye.